Meet the Antwerp Diamond Vault. It's a 20-ton slab of steel designed to keep out every thief on the planet, except apparently for a stickman with a dream and a complete lack of impulse control. Now you're probably wondering how a two-dimensional drawing plans to crack a billion-dollar fortress without triggering a silent alarm. Inside this concrete coffin lies over $100 million in loose diamonds. We're talking about enough carbon to make every influencer on Earth weep with envy. Jimmy is already imagining the gold-plated yachts, but first he has to actually get into the basement. The vault isn't just behind a door. It's buried 2 floors underground, tucked away like a secret shame. Jimmy decides the fastest way down is a direct vertical drop. He peels himself off the floor with a sound like a wet suction cup. First up is the Doppler radar. This thing doesn't just see you. It detects the slight shift in air molecules when you breathe. It can basically smell your anxiety. Jimmy tries to freeze in place, but he's shaking so hard he looks like a vibrating tuning fork. Then we have the seismic sensor. This masterpiece of engineering can detect a sneeze from 3 city blocks away. It's the ultimate no-touch zone. Jimmy is doing great until his digestive system decides to betray him. He freezes, holding his breath until his face turns a deep shade of ink purple. Next is the magnetic field. Huge plates that ensure the door stays shut unless you have the exact electronic handshake. Jimmy tries to lean against it for a second and gets sucked onto the metal like a cheap fridge magnet. He spends the next minute trying to peel his stick body off the steel. Finally, the infrared heat grid, a web of unblinking red eyes that see your soul, or more accurately, your body heat. Jimmy's pixels are practically sweating under the pressure. At this point, getting in seems impossible unless you're a professional liar with a very long game. See, Jimmy didn't just show up with a crowbar. He played the long game. He rented an office right inside the Diamond Center, pretending to be a boring diamond merchant. He even wore a tiny, poorly tied necktie to look official. For 2 years, Jimmy played the part of the most mediocre businessman in Belgium. He spent 700 days just staring at that vault door, pretending to check his emails while actually calculating the exact angle of the security cameras. It's a level of patience that borders on psychological illness, but he needed eyes inside. So, Jimmy installed a tiny high-resolution camera inside a standard red fire extinguisher. It's the perfect hiding spot. Nobody ever looks at fire equipment until the building is actually on fire. Now he has a front row seat to the guards' morning routine. The camera captures everything, including the exact moment the guards enter the combination. Jimmy watches the grainy footage and scribbles the code down with a wax crayon. I mean, using a crayon for $1 million heist is a choice, but hey, it worked.
Now we deal with those heat sensors. Most people would bring liquid nitrogen or a high-tech cooling suit. Jimmy goes to the local pharmacy.
He realizes that heat sensors are basically just fancy thermometers that can be fooled by a simple layer of chemicals. Jimmy pulls out a can of extra-hold hairspray. By spraying the sensor, he creates a temporary insulating film that traps the heat. The sensor is now effectively blind, thinking the room is a chilly autumn evening while Jimmy is sweating bullets right in front of it. But the magnetic plates are still a problem. So, during his business visits, Jimmy spent months loosening the screws on the plates just a fraction of an inch. He used cheap scotch tape to keep them from falling off and making a noise. One tiny slip and the alarm screams. To finish the job, he crafted a custom aluminum plate. This little piece of metal acts as a bridge, tricking the magnetic sensor into thinking the door is still closed even when it's swinging wide open. High-tech security, defeated by a piece of scrap metal. The final piece of the puzzle is the key. Jimmy doesn't pick locks, he just gets a 3D printed, 2-part replica that fits perfectly into the mechanism. He gives the key a little kiss for good luck. It's officially heist night. Jimmy creeps through the hallways in a black turtleneck that is 3 sizes too big for him. He looks less like a master thief and more like a very confused piece of lint. He reaches the vault door, his heart hammering against his ribs. He flips the master light switch. Total darkness. The only things visible are Jimmy's glowing white eyes and the faint glimmer of the lock. He slides the 3D key in and begins the slow, agonizing turn of the combination dial. The 20-ton behemoth groans open with a sound like a dying whale. Jimmy's jaw literally hits the floor, but his celebration is short-lived. Behind the main door sits the day gate, a secondary reinforced grill designed to stop exactly what Jimmy is doing. Stealth is over. Now we need leverage. Jimmy produces a crowbar and begins prying at the gate. He's straining so hard his stick arms are vibrating like guitar strings. Then, with one final desperate heave, crack. He steps inside the vault, and immediately the infrared sensors activate. The red beams are everywhere, crisscrossing the room like a lethal laser disco. Jimmy panics for a second, then remembers he brought his secret weapon. He pulls out a massive sheet of polystyrene, basically a piece of a cooler box. He holds it in front of him and shuffles forward like a clumsy square tortoise. He's essentially a human sandwich, blocking his body heat from the sensors. As he moves, he reaches up and slaps pieces of 3M tape over the ceiling light sensors. Why spend $10,000 on a signal jammer when a roll of office tape costs $2? The lights flicker, but the alarm stays silent. And then, he sees it. 189 safe deposit boxes, packed to the brim with the world's most expensive rocks. Jimmy looks at his watch. He's on a deadline, and he's got a lot of boxes to crack. He doesn't have time for delicate picking, so he uses a custom hand-cranked device to rip the locks right out of the boxes. It's a symphony of destruction, and the reward is a waterfall of diamonds spilling onto the floor. Greed kicks in. Jimmy starts frantically shoveling gold, silver, and diamonds into a canvas bag. He's stuffing it so full that the seams are screaming for mercy. He's so focused on the loot he doesn't notice the bag is starting to fray. He hits a rhythm. Box 1, box 50, box 109. He's exhausted, panting like a marathon runner in a turtleneck. He decides to leave the remaining 80 boxes behind because, honestly, who has the lumbar support to carry anymore? Now, a quick philosophical detour. The vault owners knew their security had flaws but didn't bother fixing them because they thought they were untouchable. So is Jimmy a criminal? Or is he just providing a very aggressive, unpaid security audit? Tell me in the comments if Jimmy is actually the victim here. Time to vanish, Jimmy reverses his path with surgical precision. Foam board away, day gate closed, and the 20-ton door slid shut with a gentle click. He leaves the vault exactly as he found it. Mostly, he slips out of the building and into the cool night air. As he walks away, he spots a security camera and gives it a smug thumbs up. He's done it. He's the Invisible Man. The Ghost of Antwerp. Back at the safe house, Jimmy is living the dream. He's swimming in a pile of diamonds, wearing 3 necklaces and a crown made of stolen gemstones. He's the king of the world, or at least the king of this specific living room. Now, if you want to learn how to steal millions without getting caught by your own lunch, you should probably subscribe to this channel. It's significantly cheaper than hiring a defense attorney and much more entertaining. Jimmy holds up a sign that says, "Do it." But here's the thing about geniuses. They are usually idiots in the most critical moments. And for Jimmy, that moment is the trash. He has a giant bag of evidence, and he needs it gone. Jimmy and his accomplice, Speedy, drive out to the E19 motorway. They find a nice secluded patch of woods and toss the garbage bag deep into the brush. They drive away, convinced that their trail is cold. But inside that bag was a half-eaten salami sandwich. Behold, the most expensive piece of deli meat in human history. A single, discarded snack that contains the one thing you can't fake with a 3D printer, DNA. Enter August Van Camp, a local landowner who finds the trash while walking. He doesn't find diamonds, he finds a disgusting, rotting sandwich and some receipts. He calls the police, thinking he's just reporting a littering crime. The police bring in a forensic scientist who looks at the salami with a mixture of horror and fascination. One swab, one sequence, and boom. The DNA matches a known associate of the diamond world. The mystery is solved by a piece of processed meat. 5 days later, Jimmy returns to the Diamond Center to keep up appearances. He's walking in, acting cool, probably thinking about where to spend his millions. He doesn't even see the 6 police officers until they are mid-air, tackling him into the marble floor. The judge didn't care about the security audit defense. Jimmy gets slapped with a massive prison sentence. He spends his days in a concrete cell, staring at the wall and thinking about that sandwich. But here's the final twist. The police caught Jimmy, but they never found the loot. Most of the diamonds vanished into thin air. Jimmy is in jail, but someone is still very, very rich. See you in the next heist.